Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Sam, or xJawz, and today I'm bringing you guys a demolition gameplay on the map Crisis. And today I'd like to talk to you guys a little bit about the FAL and the M14, the two guns that I believe are the worst assault rifles in Black Ops, and also a little bit about this gameplay. So first things first, about 2 days ago I uploaded a gameplay and I titled the video the worst assault rifle in Black Ops, and in that video I talked about how I believe, and I genuinely do believe, that the M14 is the worst assault rifle in Black Ops. And a lot of people didn't like me saying this. I'm not going to say most people didn't like me saying this, but a lot of people didn't like me saying this. I had a couple people tell me that the Enfield is worst, which I mean I just cannot even believe that people think the Enfield is worse than the FAL and the M14. I really do genuinely like that gun almost as much as the Galil, which is saying something. I think I like the Enfield more than the AK-47, for example, and a lot of people also said that the FAL was actually worse than this gun. So I can easily see the comparison between the M14 and the FAL being the only two single shot weapons in Black Ops, and how they are pretty similar. They have the same damage over range, they have similar recenter speeds, the recoil numbers are a little bit different, but for the most part they're really similar weapons in this game. So I can completely understand people saying the FAL is worse, but I did want to talk a little bit about that, and also what the definition of the term worst, or the word worst, means. So I'm not going to give you guys a dictionary definition of the word, but a lot of people misconstrued what I said yesterday as me saying that the M14 is a terrible weapon. Basically, a lot of people got on their, high horses and were like, oh, it's not a bad gun, it's a great gun, you just don't know how to use it. Well, I'm a good player, I have a good shot, I've played this game professionally, I have a pretty good kill death ratio, and I play this game well on a consistent basis. And if I don't, play as well with that gun, and if I think that it's the worst, it's probably not me that's the problem. That's the first thing I wanted to address. The next thing I wanted to talk about is, again, what exactly does the worst mean? Well, let me tell you guys this. Every year, Ferrari puts out a worst car. Every year, they put out a worst car. The worst Ferrari of the year. There's always going to be a worst Ferrari, the worst Porsche, the worst Audi. That doesn't mean that it's a bad gun. When you have to compare it to other things that are really good, of course there's going to be one thing that's the worst. If you looked at everybody on, a professional football team, there's going to be one player that stands out as the worst. That doesn't mean that they're a bad player, they're a professional player, so they're clearly not a terrible player. What my point is here is that a lot of people just immediately saw me not saying that the M14 was the best weapon in this game as me saying that it was a bad weapon, and that's not the case. It's definitely a viable weapon. As you saw yesterday in my video, I got a 15 kill death ratio with it, so it's obviously not a horrific weapon. I wasn't trying to point that out. I was just simply saying that there are, I think it's like 11 other better options in my opinion. So now let's talk a little bit about the FAL and how it compares to the M14, because it seems like this was the gun that most people said was better than the M14 yesterday. Or 2 days ago, sorry. So basically, when you're looking at these guns, again, I think I said this earlier, they've got the same numbers almost across the board except for the recoil. So basically, when you're looking at the recoil, you got to kind of make a distinction here. So basically, when you're looking at the M14, and I know I keep saying the word basically a lot, I'll try and stop that. But anyway, the M14 has a really high recoil upwards. It sometimes goes to the left, sometimes goes down and to the right, but mainly it's going to go up, and that's what really, gives you a lot of difficulty when you're trying to control the recoil. The FAL also has recoil, but it's not nearly as exaggerated, and it's sort of spread out evenly. Sometimes to the left, sometimes up, sometimes to the right, sometimes down, which makes it a much more manageable weapon as long as you're shooting it at a relatively manageable speed. What I mean by that is don't go off and try and fire your weapon as fast as you possibly can. That's a common misconception, often encouraged by the fact that modded controllers exist. A lot of people believe that because modded controllers exist and they allow you to shoot super fast with single shot weapons, that automatically that's the way you should shoot. And the fact of the matter is, if you're using an assault rifle and you're trying to play a defensive or just a medium to long range position, you don't want to be shooting that fast, especially when recoil comes into play. So what you're going to want to do instead is control your shot, pick your shots wisely and not, shoot all over the place. And when you do that with the FAL, you can definitely control the recoil of this weapon, and it does not affect your shot significantly. However, when you try and do the exact same thing with the M14 and shoot at similar speeds, you're going to find that the fact is that the recoil is too high, and that the recoil will consistently pull the gun upwards, even if you're shooting at a relatively manageable speed that the FAL would have no problem with and wouldn't change the center of your screen whatsoever. So what I'm saying here, guys, is that if you use the M14 slow enough, absolutely you won't deal with a lot of recoil. You can keep that gun steady all the time. But if you can use the FAL, you can shoot a little bit faster and also not have to deal with a lot of recoil, which is sort of my point when I'm saying the FAL is a better gun than the M14, and then all the other guns are better than both the FAL and the M14, in my opinion. If you disagree, leave a comment or a video response. I'm open to that all the time. Some people did that yesterday, and I was happy with that. Final score of this game was 21-2. Nothing spectacular. Something together I threw together kind of quickly. I was playing the objective, and I thought you guys would enjoy seeing a gameplay with the golden FAL. I'll see you guys later. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and that's pretty much it. Bye.